Okay, looks like we're live on StreamYard. Our apologies for the 5-minute delay. We're working out some technical issues, but we're really happy to be with you today. If you just listened to 360 Info Network, we had Dr. T. Owens Moore on. He's an expert on melanin. And towards the end of the show, we actually talked about diet, the importance of diet, and it was a perfect segue into the show that we are about to do. We are going to be talking all things vegan today. And in order to assist us with that, we have someone who is not only a vegan, but she is also a yogi. She has a food preparation business. She has a website, SolBowl Vegan Kitchen.com. She's doing a lot of things when it comes to fitness, when it comes to mental and spiritual wellness. So we are very happy to have with us. Her name is Heather Parks. Welcome to the broadcast, Heather.
Hi, thanks for having me. I love having these conversations with you. Especially as someone else who's in the lifestyle or you've been vegan and based for many years. So it really resonates with you when we can have these in-depth conversations about just the importance of health and not only the importance of health, but like really focusing on health in our community as well.
Yes. And when you talk about health in the community, it is a primary concern right now because, we're dealing with this whole idea of a pandemic, and the focus of everyone is right now their immune system. Unfortunately, the solution that is being offered to us in terms of our immune system is a vaccine. And I don't want to denigrate those who are proliferating vaccines. I'm not an anti-vaxxer, so please don't put that label on me. But 60% of the African American community has concerns about taking vaccines, and I think their concerns are well founded. There's a lot of medical evidence that's being offered to us right now that would say you don't have any cause for concern. But from my perspective, things need to be tested. They need to be tested and proven. And what we have going on right now is what seems to amount to clinical trial. So, I think folks are going to kind of be waiting to see what happens. But in the meantime, there are things that we can do to strengthen our immunity. And I'm not going to say without the use of a vaccine, but I'll say in addition to the vaccine. And those are some of the things that we want to talk about today. So let's start with just getting to know who Heather Parks is. We've done some shows before. You were on Open Door, the radio show, and we got a little bit into your background, and I found it quite interesting. Specifically because of the fact that what you're doing now is you are totally self-sufficient. We established that you are a nurse, but you're not going to a hospital every day. When I look at your activities, I see that you're doing meditation and yoga at 7 o'clock in the morning and doing classes in the evening. And in addition to that, you're doing the food preparation and the other things that you're involved in. So let's talk about Heather Parks and dive into the relationship between Heather Parks and health.
For sure. Well, so yeah, I do have a background in nursing. I've been a nurse for 16 years. So I started really early, early on. And I've been in so many different areas when it comes to nursing, whether it's in hospitals, long-term care, private care, agency work, working with children, working with adults, specializing in respiratory care. So there isn't much that I haven't experienced when it comes to that. And also, just in my time in Cleveland, I've been here about 7-ish years now. I've spent 5 of those years working in the school districts. Um, as I began to segue more towards wellness. And so, yes, I am very, very passionate about health, but with that background, it's kind of allowed me to see, you know, exactly what we know. We already know that over 80% of our health issues are diet related, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but really working with people hands on, whether it's on the prevention side or caring for people who have kind of reached the end of that line, it really makes you put things into perspective. Like, people are really suffering with ailments that can be prevented. And, so over the years, I really have to ask myself, what is the role that I play in that? As nurses, what do we really do here? Are we just caring for the sick? Are we assisting people in their illness? Or is our role to actually help people in their wellness? And a common issue is, for one, information. We just don't have information, and it's not available to us. And I know some people can say, well, now we have the internet, and a lot of information is readily available. That is true, but we also have to look at our access. And just because information is there doesn't mean we're able to learn it. We're able to put things in practice. And so we need people that are able to advocate for that and really assist people in the process before we get to the point to where, um, diabetes is an issue. Because before diabetes is an issue, high blood pressure is an issue. And before high blood pressure is an issue, high cholesterol is an issue. Before that is an issue, it's as simple as, like, okay, what are we choosing from the grocery store? What are we eating for dinner every single night? And those are all things that you know can prevent so much, and not only in adults, but now we're looking at now we're changing the diet of a whole another generation and affecting the lives of children who then grow up with better food habits.
Yes. When you talk about food habits, I'm just remembering a conversation that I had with a dear friend of mine who was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And this is extremely meaningful to me because, the age that I'm in and, the fact that it's a reality for all men really is something that they have to deal with. And what happened with him was that he got the diagnosis and his doctor wanted to rush him into surgery. He was just basically saying, look, we can schedule the surgery for you tomorrow. And he was like, wait, hold up. Let me think about this for a minute. Let me do some research and let me get back to you. And so he came back to his doctor in a couple of weeks. And what he discovered was the possibility that a raw food diet could be of assistance to him. So he took on a raw food diet. And within a period of 6 months, he came back to his doctor. The doctor ran the test and they couldn't detect any cancer. So I guess he got comfortable with the fact that, he's gotten past this little challenge in his life and he went back to doing what he had done before. And when he went back to doing what he was doing before, the cancer came back. So I think it was then that he had the epiphany that, hey, maybe I need to make some changes. But, the thing that's important to me about that testimony is the healing power of foods. Because here was a person who was basically told, this is what you can do about your issue. This is what you need to do for your problem. We need to take it out. And when he looked at the impact that taking his prostate out would have, the incontinence, the lack of sexual performance, certain loss of vitality, he was like, well, I don't know if I really want to do that.
Right.
So he made the change, he made the choice, and now, he's not completely vegan. He says that every once in a while he might have a hamburger if that's the only thing that is available to him. But, it's one of those once every blue moon situations. So it's not something that he does on a regular basis. He does a lot of juicing. He's drinking juice with beets and broccoli and cauliflower and all kinds of things. And it has been working for him. So I'm so glad that you brought up the whole idea of, the impact that diet can have. And I know that one of the components of your program is actually a raw diet. Could you talk about that?
Sure. And like you said, studies have shown for decades really that a raw diet can help transform health. You have many doctors now that are even starting to promote the fact that uh, a plant-based diet, but specifically a raw diet, it's being used to transform all types of ailments, but especially issues dealing with the heart. you know. So what I do with my program is called the 28-day raw reset. What it does, it's a guide that I've kind of laid out to help people either transition to that life, but really giving them a blueprint of how to stick to it because people, whether they're dealing with an ailment or whether it's something they want to try. I don't necessarily believe in dieting per se, because diets aren't meant for long term. And there's a lot of mindset that has to change when it comes to changing the way we eat because the habit we have to change our habits every day. We have to feed our bodies every day. So it's something that you have to learn why you're doing it and how to stick to it. Um, and something that comes up a lot is even people when people get started, they don't know how to sustain this lifestyle, even if they want to do it. So that's what I'm doing is help them learn how to sustain a lifestyle. Um, you know, I hear all the time about don't feel like a vegan diet or even a lifestyle is something they can do long term. There are a lot of people who try it and fail. And I feel like I'm living proof as well as many other people. As you can see now, like I've been doing this for actually I've been living plant based for over 20 years now. I started when I was around 15 years old, and I've gone through this, many years of this. And I think I like to tell people I've done everything wrong. I've literally done everything. But I think that's also what makes me such a good teacher. Like I understand every single issue. When people come to me and say, "Well, I can't do because of this, or I can't do it because of that." No, it's not true. It's not
Yeah.
true because people have, you know what I mean? Like there's no excuse, and it's perfectly fine if people don't want to. Um, completely or want to live this life. This is a requirement ever. And our health is one of the most personal things decisions we can ever make. Like me, you, like we could never force feed someone, make them feel better. You have to want this for yourself, and you have to be able to do it on your own.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah. And I think
to
that
enjoy the burger every now and then.
mhm. I think
Go
too,
ahead.
one of the things that you really have to do is adjust your thinking because what you just expressed is how people say, well, I can't do that. You know, when you talk to somebody about giving up meat, it's
Exactly.
like, well, I can't do that. Well, as long as you tell yourself that you can't
How do you
do it,
know?
then you can and you won't, and it's that whole idea of facing that I'm not going to do that anymore. But
Hmm.
you talked about being vegan since 15. My journey started when I was on my way out of college, and what happened was I was into Ishiru karate, and I went to practice one night, and I had eaten Kent State University Tri Towers chili that day. And by the time I got to practice, my stomach was doing somersaults, and my bowels all of a sudden had an urge to release. And so I was just sick, you know. And so for a week, I said, well, I'm not going to eat any hamburger this week. And I was eating fish. And after a week of subconsciously avoiding meat, I realized that something is telling me not to do that. Now, it could be the classic orthorexia. You know, have you heard that term? They apply it to those of us who decide that we want to eliminate certain toxins from our existence. But, you know, the subconscious thought that, you know, if I do that, I might get sick. But over a period of time, I adjusted to not having meat. So after a while, you know, it just wasn't a big deal, you know. So now 40 years later, if I thought about holding a bone up to my face, it would seem like such a weird thing, you know, for me to hold a chicken bone or for me to hold a rib bone. It's like, I'm so beyond that, you know. I don't even really have to have that whole burger mentality. You know, we got Beyond Burger, Impossible Burger. We have all these substitutes, you know. So it's like retaining that mentality of being a carnivore because you want something that reminds you of your carnivorous days, you know. But I'm happy to say that I've moved beyond that. And I don't think it's impossible.
It's definitely not impossible. I feel like, you know, I like to say, like, what exactly is a burger? You know what I mean? Because when you eat, you know, what they say a burger is, like, it's not, a burger is a patty, right? It's just the shape of something that it can be a chickpea, it can be whatever it is that you want it to be. But, you know, when we're eating these what they call hamburgers and like it's not a burger, it's a piece, it's like ground up cow, you know? So I think that it starts like again, it's our mindset. We have to understand for people who want to change anyways, just understanding like what exactly are you putting in your body? Why are you putting it in your body? Does your body need this? Where does it come from? And what is the history of this stuff that you're putting in your body? You know, we take on the energy of everything that we ingest. So is this, you know, where did this come from?
Hmm.
And I think that we really have to ask ourselves these things, and that's why, like, I feel like it's so important. That's why I love to interject the yoga aspect because the yoga really helps to change the mindset and getting back in tune with nature. Like that's a huge part of why we deal with so many elements as well, or so many ailments because we're so far removed from nature and our bodies are connected to nature. Our bodies are connected to the earth. And when you are no longer giving your things your body things that come from the earth, then it's gonna fail you at some point. You know, like if you put in regular gas into a luxury car, like it's gonna fail you because it's not meant to take that. And we have to be able to give our bodies the things that it needs to really revitalize and to keep it going. We need live foods, not, you know, things that aren't live.
Okay, so with that being said, I want to talk about the protein myth because one of the arguments that folks who eat meat always bring up is that, well, I need protein, and you get your protein from milk, from meat, just like they always say, well, I drink milk because you need milk to get your calcium, and then when you do the research, you'll find out that both of them are problematic in terms of being sources for protein and
Right.
calcium. So can you talk about, first of all, the importance of protein and why plant protein is equivalent to, or in some ways more beneficial to you, or maybe more beneficial to you than animal protein?
Definitely. So, I mean, we know that we need protein as one of the essential building blocks of the body. But, you know, when we eat animal protein, our bodies have a hard time digesting it, and it actually causes inflammation in the body, which that is where a lot of the ailments stem from, inflammation, right? Just in different areas of the body. Well, our our body cannot digest it, so it really just sits in our cells. That's why, if you notice someone with large muscles and they say they need a lot of protein, well, it just sits on our body. If they stop working out, stop, in the way that they do, then the muscles will disappear. Well, with plant protein, our bodies are actually using it to regenerate, and it becomes a part of us. Our bodies can actually use it, sort of say, in those simplest ways.
Okay.
I
So,
forgot the other. What was the second part of your question?
well, I was just asking about, why protein that comes from meat may not be the best form of protein for us. And I wanted you to dispel the myth
Okay.
that, we have to get our protein from animals.
Yeah, it's just for so many years, the standards or the food pyramid, they put this in place, and it's never been accurate. And it's never been meant to really serve our bodies, more so serve the industries to promote, so we buy the food. So our bodies, like, we don't need this overload of protein. So, and actually, again, too much protein in the body um, leads to diabetes, leads to issues with the liver and the kidneys, because the body cannot process these animal proteins, right? So we don't need as much as we're led to believe that we need, and really all the protein that we need can come from plants. And I won't say, like, I've definitely had times in my life, depending on what my workout routine was, where I've wanted more protein, or whether or not I consume less. But really, that's vanity, right? It doesn't mean our bodies need it. So everything we need comes from plants.
Yeah.
And even if you want to increase your amount of protein, it can still be done by plants. I actually have one of my favorite recipes right now. It's with Brussels sprouts, and it's actually in the 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 raw reset plan. And Brussels sprouts, I don't want to say they're high in protein, but they're about 1 to 1.5 grams of protein per Brussels sprout, right? So that's an easy way to count. And I can just saute that, and maybe with some other vegetables, and I make a sauce with tahini. Tahini is about 6 grams of protein per serving. Um, Add some hemp seeds, some chia seeds to that, and make like a nice creamy sauce. And I've got usually between 20 to 25 or so grams of protein in a single meal.
That's amazing. And another thing that I have to share with you, because I've followed you on Instagram, and I've seen Facebook posts from time to time, but I just have to compliment you on the presentation of the food, because when I see the photographs, when I see the images of the food products that you create, they always look so good. And maybe it's the vegan in
Thank
me
you.
who understands that, what I'm looking at is life. It's like, when you
It
get the
is.
ad, yeah, when you get the ads from Dave's Supermarket or from Save a Lot, and they're selling you meat, they always put some greenery. They always put something alive next to the meat, so to
Mhm.
give you the idea that you're getting life from what you're getting. But in actuality, they had to dress it up in order to make it
Mhm.
attractive to you. Um, but the other
So
thing
true.
that I wanted to mention is I'm so glad that you brought up the idea of too much protein. There are a few doctors that I've followed online who have suggested that the overconsumption of protein is actually what is causing a lot of the health problems that we have.
Yes.
And if you look at heart disease, for instance, and you look at the arteries being clogged, well, one of the reasons that they're clogged is because of things that you are ingesting, and those things just happen to be meat and dairy. Dairy is a product that comes from cows, and it's such a revolutionary thought when you consider the fact that what milk is is it's bovine growth fluid. The whole intent of milk coming from the udder of a cow is to feed a calf so that that calf can grow rapidly and get the
Right.
antibodies and the nutrition that it needs, the same as it is with a mother's milk. But we will give our babies the milk from a cow before we give them the milk from a mother. It just seems so backwards, but we're one of the only species on the planet that would drink somebody else's milk, and then we pay a price
Right.
for drinking somebody else's milk. And if we're not drinking the cow's milk, we're drinking a formula that's made from soybeans and other products and synthetic vitamins that really take away from the health of the infant as opposed to adding to it.
Exactly. And that's why we see like small babies and children like growing so big now, because I mean they're getting all these growth hormones in their developmental stages from the wrong sources.
Mhm.
It's also why we're seeing so many children with these ailments that we once thought that, oh, adults only get this, or, you know, like children have high blood pressure. Like, I'm still amazed by that. Like, why, like, children should not have high blood pressure. They should not have just a lot of these issues that are coming up. Um, and I think I'm gonna say hurtful because like I get really sensitive about this because like I said I've spent so much time working with, I mean, adults but children as well, and most of the time like they aren't the ones, they don't go grocery shopping, they don't buy their food, they don't cook the food, you know someone has to prepare it for them, and they are being given all the wrong things. Um, and it's just setting them up for a lifetime of having to either deal with these health issues, or having to spend years to reverse these things and just learning something different when we can teach these things from the beginning. We can give them, start off with a good palate, to prevent all the problems in the future.
Okay. We've talked about the importance of diet and some of the benefits that you can get from eating a plant-based diet. But there's another part of this equation, and that is detoxification. Before we did this broadcast today, you shared some of the things that you prepare for detoxification, and I want to give you a testimony right now. I did a one-day cleanse. And it has been a challenge, because of the fact, as I shared with you, my problem is not losing weight. My problem is gaining weight. So, in order for me to be where I want, I'm probably going to need to eat more. But with all that being said, I did the one-day detox. And first of all, the beverage, I did the indigo. I can't remember if you suggested indigo to me first, but I did indigo first. And I can tell you that there was a noticeable change in energy. Not that it was a significant change, but it was
Okay,
noticeable.
awesome.
And I just started to think about the benefit of doing that over a period of time. So to go 3 days and to have those nutrients in my body. So let's talk about detoxification,
Mhm.
the importance of it, and talk about your, I guess, your modicum, your methodology for cleaning the body out through the detoxification process.
Yes. I always, well, I think it's super important to kind of meet people where they are. Like I said, we are all coming from different places and different backgrounds. Um, my diet and my issue might be different. Well, not might, it is different from yours. Like you said, you want to gain weight. You've been on a plant-based diet for a long period of time, and as if I, so our body needs are going to be different. Um, versus someone who just, they're eating burgers and fried chicken 3 days ago, and they want to detox. You know what I mean? It's going to be a totally different process. And the mindset is going to be so important. But I always like to start people off with eating them into a juice cleanse. So that's why I have a 3-day juice cleanse, and even that, it can be adjusted to fit a person's needs. Because honestly, I feel like if you've never done a cleanse, if you've never fasted before, like, it takes practice. It takes a few times, because you're not going to go from 0 to 10 in a week. It's not realistic. But that's also why we don't call it a diet. It is a lifestyle change, and you have to, begin to take these steps. So I have with the 3-day cleanse that I provide, it comes with 15 juices, and you drink 5 juices per day, along with water. And for some people, like, if it's difficult to have straight juice, I encourage people to either have salads or incorporate some other raw foods if necessary, like maybe watery fruits like pineapple or apple, maybe cucumbers, just to satisfy that urge to eat. But the goal is to be able to give the digestive system a rest, to be able to, like, start to cleanse the colon walls, which is super important, and giving your liver and your kidneys a break from having to do all that work breaking down proteins, and even fiber as well. Even though we know fiber is an important part of our diet, we still have to give our system a rest, and then begin to slowly incorporate these things back.
Hmm. I did a solstice fast in December. I went 4 days, and what I do is I just take organic navel oranges and I put them in the blender. I add some water, I add some cayenne pepper, and I'm drinking that for 4 days. And what I noticed after I did this fast is, one, it kind of altered my body clock. So in addition to the fasting, I was doing meditation and whatnot, and I found myself, uh, ready to go to bed at like 10 o'clock, and I'm one of those night owl people.
It's like an early time for you.
Yeah, it's an early time for me, but I found out that, well, I saw that I was going to bed earlier and I was waking up earlier. So for almost a week, almost 2 weeks after I did this fast, I was waking up every morning at like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. And it was interesting because I would get up and the sun wasn't up yet. And, one morning I got up and I read half of a book. But I just noticed that there was a discernible change in my physiology. So I think that, the fasting and the detoxification can be quite impactful. If you're looking at making certain changes in your life, when you start doing different things, you get different outcomes. So I think it's really an important thing to embrace the whole idea of having the discipline to resist the urge to eat that sandwich at midnight, or to eat when you shouldn't be eating, because, as you pointed out, your body has to take a rest from digesting food, and it expends energy as you are sleeping at night when you should be resting. And then the other thing is that when your body is in optimal shape, because of the detoxification and the cleansing that you've done, you require less sleep because you don't have to repair as much. That sleep cycle is the restorative, reparative time. It's the regeneration time. It's like you go to the gym, you lift the weights, you get all pumped up, but then, you have to have rest in order to support all the work that you just did. I want to go back and talk about your detox formula because I had the indigo. But could you talk about the ingredients that are in your formulas and what impact they have?
Yes. So every single juice is specially designed. Let me see. I actually have a list next to me here. But every single juice is specially designed to be able to reach the cells, like, right down to the nutrient level. So like the Indiglo, for instance, um, I like to refer that as the first juice in the detox. It is pineapple based. It has cucumber, ginger, and spirulina. So, and spirulina is actually a protein, so we get energy from that. It's something that we want in the morning. In the morning time, we also want to really flush our body with our fruits first before we start incorporating the vegetables. When it comes to proper food pairing, ginger is also something is very good for the immune system and kind of wakes up the body, wakes up the metabolism. So they're all great for our morning. And the added spirulina also helps to, like I said, it's a protein, but it also helps us to feel full.
Okay. I just happened to pull up the YouTube feed and I see that we have some folks who have been commenting. This is new technology to me, so
Okay.
I'm getting more comfortable with it. You're on YouTube all the time, so you see it happening to other folks. But we have some great input here. There's someone named Anthony Frazier, and he said that he's been sending hundreds of people through email and Facebook direct mail a food list of things that help boost the immune system. He says that our health is our freedom and our wealth. We should know the health benefits or detriments of everything we put in and on our body, and it's so true. He said that milk has morphine in it, animal messages, animal hormones, and this leads to drug addiction, which is really quite interesting. And these are probably things that you're aware of, but it's just so nice to know that there are other folks who understand the same kinds of things and are also spreading the message about that. So Indiglo, so that was one of them. So you gave me two others. Tell me about the other two that you have.
So let's see. I believe you had like the blue green pack. I believe you had the Indiglo. I think you had a super green.
Okay.
And maybe did you have a celery juice as well?
Well, I have to be honest with you. I did the two, and I'm saving the two for next week. So I also needed to ask you, how long they're good for, because sometimes juices don't last too long without the preservatives.
Yes. No, you want to, and exactly, because we do not use preservatives. This is raw juice, so you want to consume it. I like to say definitely more towards the 5 days, but 5 to 7 days, because it is cold pressed, so it will tend to last a little bit longer. But definitely that 5 to 7 range. You don't want to get outside of that. But yeah, we don't use preservatives. It's cold pressed and raw versus and that's something like I think it's important to know the difference between because you get a lot of people who are producing juice now. But it's not always cold pressed. And when it's not cold pressed, it does not last as long. It actually, there's a difference in the way it settles. When we use centrifugal juicing method, it actually burns at a higher rate. So the motor on the juicer is not, that's why it's not called cold press. So the motor on the juicer kind of heats up the nutrients in the produce. So we tend to lose some of that. And there's not really a way to measure how much we're losing. We just know that if it's being heated, we're losing nutrients.
Okay, that's interesting, because I've heard the term cold pressed, but I never really fully understood the impact of it. But when you talk about hot versus cold, and you know that when you apply heat to fruits and vegetables, sometimes they lose some of their nutritional value. Now, you have things like spinach that might be better for you if it's heated.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Some of them, and that's why like I don't do, and that is something, I'm so glad you mentioned that. That's something I bring up in the raw detox or the raw reset, because yes, there's going to be lots of raw recipes, but we got to understand there's no such thing as 100% raw diet that's sustainable, because we still need beans and we still need grains, and some of the foods that we take just do better when it's heated a little bit, you know, and spinach is one of them. So like that's one of the things I tell people, like, yeah, you can eat your spinach raw, but you know, there are moments when you're going through your raw diet, or you know, your period of eating raw. Um, you want something kind of warm. Like I still believe in drinking tea. There's been times where I actually, when I first started eating raw, I kind of let go of the tea because everything else was cold. My body just naturally didn't want it all the time. But if I'm eating during the winter, I still want something warm. I still might want like some kind of like a mushroom broth, or some kind of tea. You know, I'm very much into herbalism, so you can't take the tea away from me. We need those things in our body as well. Spinach, like we need to heat it just a little bit because that's how we release the nutrients. Broccoli is another one. I see people juice sometimes. I would never juice broccoli. We need to heat broccoli a little bit to be able to digest it better. Same thing with beans. Um, I do eat bean sprouts from time to time, but I prefer to eat my beans cooked. It's just easier for digestion.
Did you say beets or beans?
Beans. Now that's a
Okay.
different one right there. You know, I don't know
Yeah.
if you saw my I actually have my beet juice right here. So
Hmm.
I don't think you got this one. So
Yeah.
the beet juice is actually, and this is one of my the signature juices in the 3 day cleanse. So it's a beet base, and it has, let's see, apple, cucumber. I really like ginger in mine. Sometimes I put a little pineapple, but you could not get me to to eat a beet. You know, I for all of my years, I've never eaten a beet, but I absolutely love beet juice, and that's something I hear time and time again. Meeting people like me. So I make this juice for people who don't like beets.
Okay. Just a side story. When I was a child, I was gonna say when I was a kid, but I know better. When I was a child, I remember being in a cafeteria and there was beets on one of those lunch trays. I think it may have been my tray. And the beets were just so repulsive to me that I had never ever liked beets. But now I
Mhm.
go to Whole Foods, I go to Fresh Time, I buy the bunches of beets, it's like three or four of them, and you get the leaf tops and all of
Mhm.
that. And so I juice the beets. So, my smoothies tend to be red a lot because beets are just so dominant when it comes to adding them. But you know,
They
when I
are.
do Yes, when I do the equinox fast, the spring equinox, I do a raw salad and it has all the hot stuff in it because it's a hot salad. So it has the onions, it has the garlic, it has the peppers, it has horseradish in it.
Mm.
It's got mustard greens, endive, all of that hot stuff. And in addition to all of that, it has raw beets. So I just chop up the beets real finely,
Mm.
but I've actually grown to love beets. So give me some beet juice. I'm
Mhm.
happy. I went to Mark's the other day looking
Yes.
for the beet powder, so I could just simplify it, just,
Mm.
do that instead. But yeah, and the other thing that I wanted to mention was the bottles. They're just sexy. The bottles are sexy.
Thank you.
I like they just have
Thank you.
such a comfortable feel. But the thing that I'm
Yeah.
missing is the ingredients in case I might want to duplicate it myself.
See.
It's the proprietary nature of SolBowl Vegan Kitchen, I would suppose.
Yes. But you know what? Usually when people sign up for their cleanse, they actually receive a message from me, whether it's text or email. Really just like a welcome into the cleanse. Because it really is a journey, even if because it's not 3 days. You know what I mean? Like that's just 3 days to to begin to shift your mindset. and to adjust your body, and just giving people tips as they go along, whether it's, maybe it's something you do every month, maybe it's something you do seasonally, maybe it's just something that you try, but it really is a jump start. So they get a list of all the ingredients because, again, I want to make sure no one has any food allergies, and we always have like a little consult, or just checking those things ahead of time.
Okay.
But they do get a list of the ingredients, and maybe some tips to help as they go along their juice cleanse.
Okay. So you mentioned the term seasonality, and I happen to be one who follows a rejuvenation diet, and there's a seasonal approach to eating. And I know also that because we can go to the supermarket and buy certain things all year round, like you go to the supermarket and they're selling watermelons that don't have seeds in them, and it's a mini watermelon, so you don't get the big one, you just get the small one, But the truth of the matter is, watermelons ain't in season in Cleveland, so you eating watermelon in December, and that's out of order. So, what is
Yeah.
your take
Yeah.
on eating certain foods during certain seasons, and do you have any recommendations for foods based on the season?
I'm definitely a supporter in seasonal eating. I'm not sure if I told you before. This is something that also, again, relates the yoga to our food. I study Ayurvedic diet as well. So that's really big on teaching us how to properly pair our foods, and also eating with the seasons, eating, hot and cold foods. Like you mentioned, your hot salad, perfect for cooler months. Um, so even right now, we should be eating lots of root vegetables. That's why, the right now in the cleanse, this is actually called rooted, and it's necessary for grounding. So now we also, our chakras come into play with that. Are you familiar with our chakras?
Yes.
Okay. So as you know, our chakras kind of directly relate to our organs in the body, and there are also foods that relate directly to our chakras. So there's a lot of balancing going on here when it comes to our food, and sometimes it can be kind of overwhelming to understand. But back to what you were saying, like lots of greens right now, lots of leafy vegetables, and our root vegetables are really important. And even our lentils and beans are necessary for the body right now. So watermelon is definitely like, I love watermelon so much, but I will not eat it if it's not in season. You know, our body. So another reason why it's important to eat in season is because, especially when we're eating a plant-based diet, I like to, let's see, when is watermelon in season? Maybe May,
Yeah,
May through
it's
August.
kind of late May, and then
So
yeah,
something like that.
uh-huh. And then you
So
stop
like
seeing them after Labor
that's a
Day.
time when we should. Yes. So like that's a time where we should really be eating as much watermelon as possible, because that is the way our body is able to gather all of those nutrients and for that season. And that's not something that we need for the rest of the year. Like that's what we need then, and our body is able to store that and put it to use. And when it's no longer in season, then our body doesn't need it anymore.
Okay. Uh, I want to get back to the chakras because one, a very dear friend of mine and mentor of mine, Dr. James Brown, is viewing us on YouTube right now. And he's complimenting us. He's saying it's a nice show, and I appreciate that feedback. I have learned so much from Dr. Brown, and one of the things that he has taught is about the chakras. And, a lot of traditional systems, they teach 7 chakras. But there are more than just the 7 chakras, and we need to know about those.
Yes.
But before we talk about the chakras, my friend Kofi Kemet is also watching from Akron or Kent, and he wants to know about the juicer. So he asked a few moments ago, are you using a Champion juicer?
No, I am not. I haven't heard of that before. I'm actually I just pulled my iPad on the side to look that up. I use a Cooling juicer. It's a cold press.
Okay. All
So
right.
I've used a couple of different other kinds, but for the most part, I use a commercially cold press. So there's a difference as well with that, and the quality, whether we're using commercial machines or home juicing machines. Prior to that, I used a brand called Huron, which I love. I always recommend it when people ask me for recommendations. It just gives a really high quality juice, like for a home juicer. Like I've had it made higher quality juice that I've gotten from, you know, places like commercially places because of the quality of the juicer.
Okay. All right. So hopefully that answered Kofi's question. Let's talk about chakras. We've talked about diet
Okay.
and all of that, but one of the primary things on people's minds right now is breath. And breath is probably one of the most important things that you have to consider, because without breath you ain't living. So let's talk about breath for a few moments and talk about breathing properly, and then talk about the chakra system and how awareness of the chakra system can improve the quality of your life.
It definitely can. So I think a lot of people don't really realize that they don't breathe properly. So if you want to, let's do an exercise right now. And we're just going to take a few breaths. And as you inhale, I want you to allow your belly to fill completely. And hold that for a second. And as you exhale, allow your belly to empty completely. Draw your belly in towards your spine. And we'll do that one more time. So inhale, fill the belly. And your chest fills everything. And then as you exhale, your belly comes back into the spine and your chest empties. So oftentimes people, one, they don't utilize their diaphragm when they're breathing. And over time, it can greatly affect our health, because now your body is not receiving enough oxygen circulating, which affects the cells, it affects the brain, it affects the way we function. All stemming from something as simple as our breath. It affects the amount of anxiety we experience, depression, our ability to control our emotions. So, all stemming from our breath.
Yes. So when you say something like, I can't breathe, you're really sabotaging yourself, because and we say that so readily, and now on top of everything else, we're walking around with a mask on our face that inhibits our ability to breathe. And then I saw the other day that they're suggesting that 2 masks may be better than 1. So
I've seen it. And
yeah.
you know what? That was something that really touched me, especially in light of events over this past year. And now, people walking around with shirts that say, I can't breathe. And it was definitely something that I addressed in my yoga classes, because it's like, you know, we speak life through our words. And, we understand where it came from. But like, is that something consciously that we really want to put into the universe every single day, or to tell ourselves that we can't breathe, because we are essentially speaking life away from ourselves?
Yes. So let's talk about the chakras, and we can talk about the 7 and their importance. But if you want to get into a conversation about the other chakras and their importance, you can include that too. But
Let's keep it simple.
Okay, let's talk about the 7. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So where do we? This is kind of a complicated subject. So where are we going with our chakras here?
Well, let's just talk about what they are, and we can keep it that simple because there's a lack of awareness. You know, people don't know about the sacral chakra.
Yes.
They don't, and they don't know the relationship of sacral to sacred, and they don't understand the sacred aspect of their sexual organs. So that's a whole show in and of itself, you know. But
exactly. I said I
yeah.
can teach a whole class on chakras alone.
Yeah.
But so we can start with our root chakra. Our root chakra is at the base of our spine, and our root chakra is very important for grounding, right? So I like to relate the foods to our root chakra, and it's usually a lot of the red vegetables. So you know what? Let me pull something up. Actually, I posted something this morning related to our chakras and indications of imbalances. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see.
And while you're looking that up, Kofi wants to know how to spell that juicer that you use.
The home juicer.
Mm-hmm.
It's HUROM. Huron.
Okay. Okay. So now I see we have comments that are coming on the YouTube channel, and I can see them here on my StreamYard feed. So,
do we have anything that you would like to share?
Yeah, I can actually pin comments now. This is the first time that I've done this, so I'm having a ball here, and I'm so happy to be able to do this for you because there's just so much value in what you're bringing to us. So
I like this. So this is new for me as well, and I'm happy to be able to use this. So just learning how to navigate it. Yes, it's fun for me.
So what we're going to have to do for you, Heather, is we're going to have to get you something that boosts your feed rate, the MBPS. We can boost your rate so that you don't freeze up and your audio will sound better. Because at the top of the show, it was kind of choppy. It was kind of freezing up, but it has improved significantly.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just paid for one of those devices today, so I'll let you know how they work. You know, considering your service provider, I won't say the name of it. They might be watching us on YouTube. They won't appreciate me talking about them.
Okay. I just turned my Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you. As soon as we say that, your video feed froze up.
You went out for a second.
Okay, I'm still here. I'm just sharing some of the thoughts that we got from folks who are watching us on YouTube. And I thank everyone who was watching us on YouTube. We've had a pretty consistent audience, and that speaks to the value of the information that you are sharing with us.
Thank you.
And I'm thanking Anthony Frazier too. I'm gonna have to reach out to Anthony. He seems to be a fairly knowledgeable person, and I'm sure he's got much to share because he's sharing it with us right now.
Okay. So I've got my chakra imbalance chart pulled up here. So when it comes to the root chakra, a lot of the imbalances that can be associated with that are low self-esteem, low levels of energy, feeling exhausted, constipation, and low back pain, because that would be an area close to the root chakra. And if you notice, like, how it's just the exhausted and low energy. Um, that's why when it comes to even trying to regain our energy and balancing our chakras, we always start with the root, right?
Mm-hmm.
And our connectedness.
Okay, so I just want to unpack what you just said.
Okay.
So you have a chakra, and it has a relationship to your energy levels. It has a relationship to you being depressed or, having low mental energy. So what you're saying is that there's some practice that you can engage in that will unblock this chakra, enable you to have a greater amount of energy and to have more mental clarity.
Yes.
Okay.
that is accurate. And even more so, so each chakra, well, they have their own location. They are each related to a certain element, whether it's earth, water, air. So the root chakra is related to the earth. So kind of think of the root of a tree and
Mm-hmm.
where it's relevant to the base of our spine. So if we're sitting in a lotus position, like a cross-legged position, our root, our base of our spine, is what's connected to the ground,
Okay. What about
right?
those of us who don't have the flexibility to sit in the lotus position?
Then you can just sit. You can sit in whatever is comfortable. Because like I said, we won't always have the flexibility to maybe cross our legs. So whatever position is comfortable that gets you kind of there. So maybe it just means that your legs are straight out in front of you, or kind of splayed to the side. um, but having that connection, and even sometimes if you can't get to the ground, that's okay. But having that connection, if you can, and that's important. Just like whether we're indoors, well, taking it another step is the way we go outside for to practice earthing, like when we put our feet into the ground.
Yes. I will testify to that. And I know you're looking up some information, but uh, a few months back, I was having some pain in my body. And I took some turmeric and black pepper, and I did it in the juice of an apple because that's all I had. But
Okay.
I did the turmeric, I did the ginger, I did the black pepper and the juice. And then I went to Euclid Beach and I took my shoes off. And I just basically stayed on the beach for like an hour or so.
Mm,
And amazingly, the pain went away. I was
mm.
determined not to take a pill. I was determined not to take that a leave or whatever, and I just found that there was another way to accomplish eliminating the pain. So the earthing, the grounding is very important. And as you described, the lotus position and what you can do to unblock your chakra. I was just thinking about the fact that and when you do something like sun salutations or you do some of the other movements, you're actually going through a process that affects all of the chakras.
Yes, we are. And we're moving energy. Ultimately, like that is what yoga is. We're moving energy. And at one point, or not to say that it's not a sacred practice, because ultimately it's whatever you decide for it to be for yourself, that's what it is. But originally, that's why we call it sun salutations. This is what we did to kind of give thanks to the earth and the sun, and the energy that we receive from both, to kind of heal and support our bodies.
Okay. So, was there anything else that you wanted to share about chakras?
Are we going through all of them? I mean, because
Well,
like I said, that's kind of each chakra has an element, each chakra has a sound, emotion that is related to what organs, your behaviors, so that's why they all have the symptoms of a blocked chakra, or even overactive behavior. And then we have like the healing foods as well.
okay.
So
Sounds like it's a show by
it
itself.
is. It is. It really
And
is.
yeah, and if it is that, I mean, we can defer that to a later broadcast. I welcome the opportunity to share your information. So we don't have to do everything today, but I
Yeah.
definitely wanted to talk about the detox piece. I wanted to talk about the raw food piece, and I wanted to get a little bit into the yoga, which we have talked about. And again, all of those subjects are things that we could talk infinitely about, and we can't give everything that Heather has away because she does have some products and services that will bring you into an awareness of all these things. So consider this kind of a tease. Consider this a favor that I'm doing for a friend. And again, I'm very happy to do it. So why don't we, at this point, because we've been on for over an hour right now, and the time flies when you're having fun, I'm definitely aware of that. Let's talk about SolBowl Kitchen.
Hmm. What about football?
Well, tell us about it. I mean, it's a business that involves you bringing quality food to people and having the impact of improving their health if they take it seriously. So let's talk about SolBowl Kitchen. How they can connect with it, what kinds of things that you offer, and just basically tell us what we need to know about SolBowl.
Okay. Well, as you know, SolBowl, it stems from, my transition kind of as a nurse and really wanting to help people to transition to this other lifestyle. So even though we provide a meal prep service, I do specialized plans with people as necessary. We are we are officially a cold pressed juice company as well. Um, we do the coaching, so it's really about a lifestyle transition, and because wellness comes from the kitchen, you know, that's where it starts. We have sea moss that we get directly from Jamaica and a trusted source out there. So I'm really happy about that because, nowadays, as you know, sea moss is just being like over cultivated in many different places. And it's very important to know where it's being sourced because it's like a multivitamin that we're putting in our body. And we want to know that it comes from a wholesome place and it's not contaminated. Um, we also carry herbs as well. I make specialized herbal blends for people as necessary. But again, like that just all comes with with specialized consults. But we provide it if it's within the wellness scheme, and if I'm capable, then I try to unpack these things with people and kind of guide them along their wellness journey.
Okay. So, in addition to the Soul Bowl Kitchen, you also are a yoga instructor and you have a yoga training program. You want to talk about that?
I do, sure. So our yoga training program, I'm very excited to offer that. It's going to be new for this year. And actually, so what it is that I will be certifying other instructors to become yoga guides in their own communities, whether it's for whether they have this desire to teach or whether they want to grow their practice personally. And that's something. So I don't know if I've ever shared with you my journey into teaching yoga. Like I've started practicing at a very young age, and not just the asana portion, but I was introduced to meditation as well, probably when I was about 15 years old. And it was just an amazing, I guess I can call it a coping mechanism, or it's an amazing addition to my wellness toolbox. And even at such a young age, I'm actually teaching my son. He's 18 years old, and he's very much into his yoga and meditation practice. Um, but just equipping people with the tools to kind of share these healing modalities with other people, and also being able to practice safely. So I've been teaching for over 4 years now, and I came into it because I was in a car accident, and I my spine was injured. I lost mobility for a period of time, and I had chronic pain for 2 years. And like you said before, I'm not for taking the medication. Um, I knew like, okay, I'm not going to do this for the rest of my life. And we only have one body, so we need to be able to use our body, or our body needs to be able to serve us, right? Um, so that's when I knew that I really had to dive deep into my yoga practice and really learn how to heal my body, not only through the yoga and the physical aspects, but also really being intentional about my food, the way I ate, and eating for healing, not just to sustain. So, and that's something that I really want to highlight in this program, because it's not something that we see too often. Yoga and the food go hand in hand, even when it comes to learning traditionally. And here in, with when it comes to Western medicine and, our society, we've really even pulled that portion together, because if your diet isn't right, then you can't practice properly. You can't Your body can't serve you into how it's detoxifying, because yoga detoxifies the body. There are many of the if you look at the poses that we perform, we're wringing out the organs and cleansing the body. So it's important to like really learn how to do that properly.
Okay. So you have a special that expires tomorrow. So it seems as though if you're watching today, it's an opportune time for you. Actually, I'm looking at the post that you sent, and you have a monthly membership that you're offering a special deal on. So you have some times for the sessions that you're having. So drop that on us if you would, Heather.
Yes, we have about four to five class offerings throughout the week, especially at different times. And right now it's being offered for only $19 through January. So if yoga is something that you've been meaning to try or wanting to like get into and figure it out, like this is a great time to just do it. The hardest thing about getting started is rolling out your mat. So I just want to encourage everyone to do it.
Okay, and how would they be able to sign up for these sessions?
They can visit SolBowlVeganKitchen.com, and there is a link to sign up there. And once you sign up, you will receive your login information.
Okay, so they can just go to SolBowlVeganKitchen.com.
Yes.
All right, I'm just going to throw that up there. They can go to SolBowlVeganKitchen.com and they can sign up for your classes. I'm looking at the virtual schedule. It looks like you have a Sunday slow burn at 10 a.m. You've got a meditation flow at 7 a.m. and you got vinyasa flow at 7 p.m. and that's Wednesday. On Friday, you have a meditation at flow at 7:30 a.m. So you obviously must be an early riser.
You know what? When you were talking about detoxing and your sleep times, and that really resonates with me, because I've been very intentional about my detoxing probably over the past 9 or 10 months. And while we were in lockdown phase, I got a little relaxed and enjoying my time in bed, but I was able to, just get back to that. And like right now, I actually get up at like 4:30, 5 o'clock on a regular basis. So, and I wake up so energized and feeling good and ready to start my day. And that is definitely like um, a result of my diet.
Okay. So you perfected the early rising piece.
And I was not years ago. I was not a morning person. Okay, when I tell you, that's why again, when people tell me, they just can't get up in the morning, they're not morning people, and it never happened. I said, okay, that was me. So okay,
Yes. Okay.
so but yeah. And also, if anyone is interested in trying a class, because when you go to my website, the sign up is for a monthly membership. Um, but if anyone has questions about that, they can also contact me directly, whether it's via Facebook, right? I think I
Mm-hmm.
should be linked there. So you should be able to find me on Facebook and you can inbox me there or on Instagram at HP Vegan Yogi.
Okay. So on Facebook, you are Heather Lynn Ransom.
I am. My name is different there. So I appreciate you for using my name, Heather Parks.
Okay. I've,
Or even SolBowl. So
mhm.
there's a SolBowl page on Facebook as well.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna just put this up here anyway because
Okay.
when I see you on Facebook, it's Heather Lynn Ransom, but I know it's Parks, it ain't Ransom, but folks got to get to you the way they get to you. So
Yes.
so anyway, Heather, I'm really happy that you were able to do this today. I thank you for what you offered me to get me started on my journey, and I will definitely give some consideration to using the detox going into the seasonal fasts that I do. I think I can welcome drinking those delicious juices more so than some of the other alternatives. Dr. Brown would have me take magnesium citrate in order to do that detox, but it just it's such an uncomfortable thing to go through when you have your guts coming out of you that way. So
Yes, we
um
can also take whole foods and in
yeah,
this way too.
yeah. Well, I do prunes.
Hmm.
Prunes will definitely clean you out. There's something to that
Yeah,
old
well,
wives' tale. I take the prunes sometimes when my regularity ain't so regular.
mhm,
So there are different things in nature that work. You don't always have
definitely
to
works.
go to the pill, but the other thing too, and this is on a serious note, it's just the importance of discipline.
Yes.
It's the importance of being able to say, I know my stomach is growling right now, but eating is not a good idea. you
Hmm.
know, and you can drink that hot tea that you mentioned, or sometimes I'll just eat a piece of fruit. I mean, it's not going to take a whole lot for
Right.
my body to process that fruit. It would much rather have a banana than to eat a steak because I know
Right.
that steak is going to take 3 days and there still be parts of it that are left in the intestine, which will require me to do a detox to get all of it out. And I'm not really a fan of being hooked up to a colonic machine. I
Hmm.
don't really enjoy enemas. I've done a few of those. I've heard of people who extol the benefits of coffee enemas and everything. It just seems like an uncomfortable thing to do, whether it's good for you or not.
Right.
Before I let you go, I was thinking about Dr. Jennifer Daniels earlier today. I don't know if you're familiar with her.
No.
Dr. Jennifer Daniels is a medical doctor who at one point had a practice in the United States.
Okay.
And back in the day, people used to use turpentine, pine needle oil, and
Mm.
it was a very successful therapy. The whole intention was to clean out your intestinal tract and to get the benefits, the healing benefits of cleaning out your intestinal tract. And she talked about, being a vegetarian. I don't know if she said she was vegan, but I know she was definitely vegetarian. She was run out of the country because at one point in her medical practice, she was offering her patients the pine needle oil therapy versus the pharmaceuticals. So what happened was the pharmaceutical sales folk who were visiting her had noticed that her pharmaceutical sales had dropped off significantly. And they want to know what's going on. Well, she says, well, I give my patients a choice. They can take the drugs or they can use the pine needle oil. And people were saying, well, I don't know if I want to take drugs for the rest of my life. So let me try the pine needle oil. So they tried the pine needle oil and they got results, So long story short, she left the country. Now she's in Panama or somewhere in South America. But I watched a few of her YouTube videos, and she talked about eating organ meats. And she said she went back to eating liver, and, there might be something in that liver that's good for you. I also know that, digesting that liver might be an issue too. So, I don't want to look at that and saying, well, she was vegan, but she went back to eating that. So maybe I should think about eating liver because I need what's in the liver. What worked for her may not work for me. So, that's not going to be an impetus for me to go back to eating liver. And, I'm like everybody else, just about everybody else who grew up eating meat. And, my mother made liver and onions and I toughed through it because liver wasn't really that tasty to me. It was chewy. It just wasn't pleasant tasting. And I mean, onions do what they do. Onions make stuff taste good, but the onions just did not work. So I just want to stand up for folks who live on a plant-based diet. I have a great appreciation for what you do, Heather. You inspire me to embrace more raw in my diet, and I sincerely hope that others will take it as seriously as I do. And maybe their problem could be they need to gain some weight instead of I need to lose weight. So and with that,
it works both ways.
Yes. So any parting words of wisdom, any thing you want to put out there in terms of ways that folks can reach you that we haven't discussed already, and as we draw to a close?
I just want to let people know that, there's never a too late time to start. We all start by making one change at a time, one meal at a time, and just being intentional about our choices. And if anyone wants to reach out at me, I could be reached on Facebook at Heather Lynn Ransom or at SolBowlVeganKitchen.com via contact form, or on Instagram at HP Vegan Yogi.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, I want to thank everybody who tuned in via YouTube and Facebook today. I have to do the standard, and I don't do it as much as other folks do it. But if you like what you saw today, please like the video. Please feel free to share the video. Please subscribe to this channel. I don't have 1,000 followers on YouTube yet. That's a goal of mine for whatever reason. They seem to say that, you doing that has some kind of benefit to you. So I'll do the standard plug. But, whether I share this with 28 people or 2,800 people, if you heard something today, if you saw something today that results in a positive change in your life, that's the reward to me. It's not about the money. It's about the information. One of the reasons that I did this broadcast today is because I appreciate what Heather does, and I want people to know about what she does. So I'm happy to be able to accommodate providing this platform to her and others who have an interest in providing beneficial information to the public. The universe is mental, and it's all in how you think. And as we talked about in the radio show that preceded this online show, you can have negative thoughts. You can take in the news every day, all day, reading it on your phone, reading it on your laptop, and you can be so programmed into a negative existence by feeding yourself all of that. But if you flip the switch and you decide, okay, I don't need to hear that today. COVID ain't going anywhere. They talk about it every day, hour to hour to hour, and they keep that circulating in your mindset to a point where you don't think about anything else. But the most important thing that you need to do every day is breathe, and breathe properly, and have positive thoughts circulating in your universe, which is here, your mind, and you can make drastic changes in your life, you know. And it's platforms like these that will give you the information and tools that you need to change that paradigm. So switch the language, go from I can't to I can. I can breathe, I will breathe. Heather Parks, thanks for joining me on Open Door Live today. This is actually one of the first shows on this platform, and we're going to preserve these for eternity. People will be able to come to this YouTube channel and watch this broadcast. And if you'd like to share this on your platforms, they'll be able to do the same thing. So with that, peace and blessings to you in your language. Namaste. 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 All right. Have a great and wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. Thank you.
All right. And my parting words: know yourself, love yourself, be yourself. Peace.